What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got our first proper new card revealed for the One Piece trading card game. Yes, there have been a couple of reveals so far, we've seen a couple of cards. The difference is that the cards they've shown off over on Twitter so far have been cards that were in the rulebook, cards that have basically been used as teaching aids to learn the very basics of the games. They're the ones I mentioned in my video the other day. What is different here is we've got an actual card which firstly is not being used just in the rulebook, etc. It's a proper new card reveal, and also it brings in a new keyword skill. It's a keyword skill we were expecting, incidentally, but it's here and it's awesome. We've also had full confirmation of that event card, which acts as a counter as well, so we probably will have a bit of a look at that one at the end. But first, let's start off with Luffy, that apparently isn't pronounced Luffy, even though that's the way it's spelled in English, although admittedly it's very much not in Japanese. Now the translation here comes from Rust Marrow over on Twitter, and what we have here is a 5-cost, 6,000 power character. Is this any good? Nobody knows. Like, genuinely, we have no real frame of reference here. I'd love to tell you if this is good or not, but the fact of the matter is, we just have no real idea. Until we've seen a bunch of other characters, we have no real frame of reference. We have seen properly exactly one other character. It's that Jinbei I showed you the other day, the one that was in the rulebook, and that is a free cost, 5,000 power. So actually, you know, in terms of pure stats, that is 2 less cost, but only 1,000 less power, which means it's better. But don't worry, Luffy's got a skill. Good skill as well. Oh, I should mention this is Starter Deck 1, card 12, so this is from that first Starter Deck, that ST1 that we've seen before. All the reveals so far, the only cards we've seen, and we haven't seen many, they have been from that first Starter Deck. So, what we've got here is a skill that we were expecting. It's called Rush. And I would actually expect it to be called Rush when it's translated into English, and the reason essentially is, we've seen this skill in Digimon, although to be fair, Digimon did take longer to come around. We've seen it with things like Bushy Agumon. And what it does is it allows a character to attack the turn you play it. Now, we are going to do a lot more rules reminding in these early videos than we will do as we go along, because the rules are still very new. But remember, I told you the other day, when it comes to this game, you cannot attack with a character the turn you play it, or on the very first turn of the game, i.e. turn 1 if you went first. And I told you when that was shown, well, the reason they've bothered to put that in is because sooner or later, there will be a character that can attack the turn they're played. We need to stop them attacking on the very first turn of the game, and that is exactly what we've got here. We've got a character that can attack on your first turn of the game if you go second. And I know it's a 5 cost and all of that. Look, the thing about looking at cards this early is very simply, we don't know what's coming down the line. We don't know what mechanics we're going to have to play cards cheaper, to break the rules of the game, to play cards in situations we shouldn't be able to, etc. All we know is that we've got confirmation that Rush is a mechanic in this game. And by the way, when I make these comparisons to Digimon, that's because Digimon is a Bandai game that is made in both Japan and the West, as opposed to something like Dragon Ball Super, for instance, which is only in the West. It's not a Japanese game. Probably because of various licensing issues. Point is, Rush is here, and the thing is, if we're seeing Rush, which, like I say, in Digimon it took till the 4th proper set. You know, we went through a bunch of starter decks and 3 sets, and then we introduced it. For it to be introduced this quickly, we all knew it was coming, but for it to be introduced this quickly basically tells us that this is not going to be a particularly unusual skill. It's one we're probably going to see coming around on more and more characters. So yeah, Rush is pretty good. So that's Rush, and that's pretty big. There is a second skill here as well, Don X2. When you attack, your opponent cannot activate blocker during this battle. Now, we need to go back over that very quickly. Remember, there are different ways that you can activate these skills. Don X2 means you need to attach 2 Don in order to activate this effect. If you've attached 2 Don, yay, your opponent can't block. If you haven't, gutted. This isn't going to work. So we've got Rush here, which is a skill which just works. It is always there. It is always a thing. And then we've got this stopping your opponent activating blocker during this battle, which only works if you've attached 2 Don to there. That is very important. Again, I've done my rules video. I do highly encourage you to go and check that one out so you can learn a bit more about the rules of the game so this can make a bit more sense. Although do remember that we've not seen full rules. We've seen kind of the basic beginner rules. So things are going to change as we learn more. That is important to note for any new card game as we start looking. But honestly, right, and again, we don't actually have full details of the rules. We don't have a great list of cards we've seen so far. So please bear in mind I'm giving this opinion with very imperfect information. But with all of that said, this looks really good. And I know I've got very little frame of reference. But what we've got here is a character that can attack the turn you play and your opponent can activate blocker. Because of course you can either attack your opponent's other characters to take them out, which is good because you take out characters that are going to cause you problems down the line, or you can attack the leader and then try and inflict 1 damage, which basically means that they add a card from life to the hand, but as soon as they're out of life and you attack the leader, you win. So, let's say for argument's sake your opponent has no life. They've basically in a situation where if you can get an attack through, you win. You play this card. You don't have to wait a turn to attack. Your opponent is going to want to block, but they can't block because you're stopping them. That seems really good, ladies and gentlemen. That seems really, really good. How useful is it really going to be? How often are you able to actually pull this off? We don't know. We have, like I keep saying, very much imperfect information. But straight off the bat, I'm sorry, this looks like a really good card. This one looks kind of nice. For what it's worth, we've only actually seen a single leader card so far properly. That is the Luffy leader card that has 5,000 power. So this has more than that, i.e. it would win in a battle against it. Is 5,000 going to be the standard leader power? If so, that makes this card way better because it means not only do you have Rush and can't be blocked, but you also then do enough damage to go through the leader and actually inflict that damage on them. That's cool. Or maybe 5,000 is very, very weak. As it stands, we don't know. We'll come back when we know more. But there was a card that was revealed, there was that event card that was revealed, and once again we've got a translation from Rust Marrow over on Twitter. And if Rust Marrow does happen to be watching, thank you very much. Please keep translating these cards. It's a phenomenal help. Now what we've got here is the 1-cost guard point, and it is a counter card, and either your leader or one of your characters gains 3,000 power for this battle, but only one of them in total. Yeah, 3,000 power seems pretty good. Like, when we're looking at characters with 5,000 and 6,000 power, adding 3,000 seems extremely significant. Remember, there is a counter step. It is a third step of the battle. First, you declare an attack, and when attacking effect activate. Then there's a block step, when a player being attacked can activate a blocker to, block the attack. And then there's a counter step, where the attacked player can activate any number of counter cards from their hand, playing these cards down to try and stop the attack going through. This seems like it would be good. Your opponent's attacking, being like, ha 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 ha, I can get this damage through, life is good, and you're like, no you can't, mate. Sorry, you just can't. And then there's another skill coming in here as well. That is a trigger. Up to one of your leader or characters gains 1,000 power for the turn. The phrasing there's super awkward, but it's your leader or one of your characters, but only one of them in total. So the phrasing there is kind of awkward to grasp. I'd love to see how they're going to put this in English. Now remember, during the damage step, that's the 4th and final step of the battle. That is when you reveal and resolve trigger effects. So this is going to be quite useful. Remember that the counter skill is for the battle, but the trigger is for the turn. So you're basically using counter to try and stop this attack going through now. and then you're using Trigger to buff one of your other characters for later on in the turn. This one again looks like a very good card, but it is the one and only event we've seen so far, so we need to hold off a little bit on making, really declarative statements about how good or otherwise these cards are. They certainly look super interesting and I'm very excited, but this is one of those ones where we need to really wait and see. But we did have a good look at this counter card, which is the first one we've seen and really gives us an insight into counter cards, and this character is bringing in a new keyword skill. This is pretty big. These two cards together tell us a lot about the game moving forward, and that makes me very happy indeed. Obviously, there is still a lot we need to learn, but by now you've probably guessed I'm pretty in on the One Piece TCG, so as more news comes around, as more cards are revealed, as we learn more, I will be here, ladies and gentlemen. I will be here. For now, I want to know what you think about this, and I want to know any of your predictions for the game moving forward, so go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games, and please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.